Hello, in this video I'm going to walk you through how to play a text adventure game. This is a simple demo game that I do with all of my classes, and I do it as a group where I have somebody type the commands and I project it up on a screen, and then people will suggest various commands to try. I will kind of turn that suggestion into language that the parser might understand, and then someone will type it in and we'll see what happens. So playing these as a group is a lot of fun because people can suggest things, and then that might suggest things to other people, and people's suggestions kind of build on each other. You can also play these through Zoom as a group. I've done that. That's a lot of fun too. So what you're looking at here is the Apple II emulator, and the system that I have for writing text adventures will export you out an Apple II disk image. And that's where I like to play these games, is on either, if I can't do it on the old hardware, emulate the old hardware so you get the experience. And I'm going to type in the disk command to see what's on this floppy. There we go. And you can see that there's a game called Jailbreak. That's what we're going to play. And let me type in the command to run that game, which is brun for binary run jailbreak.bin, and hit enter. And then the game will load and start up. There we go. So let's take a look at this screen that we're confronted with right now. So a game will start up with a welcome message, which may present the player with some of the backstory. And the backstory here is: welcome to Jailbreak. Having been wrongfully convicted of jaywalking, you are now an inmate at one of America's most notorious prisons. One day you awake and find that your cellmate has escaped. See if you can escape too. And then author's name, version number. And then below that, you'll see that we're in a location called Cell 24, and we're provided of that location, followed by a description of any object that we can see in that location. So we're in a location called Cell 24, and the description of Cell 24 is: this is a filthy jail cell. There's a door to the east which leads to a hallway. A poster is taped to the west wall. And also notice at the top, we have a status bar. The status bar tells us what location we're in, and it gives us a score. I don't think this game actually has a score, so the score is always going to stay at 0. But most games have a score. And then we have a blinking command prompt where we can type in what we want the game to do. So these games typically understand very simple sentences, like one-word verbs. Go this way, go that way, take this, look at that, examine this, take, get, drop. So I for inventory. Let me show you just some of the commands here. If you type look, the game will print out the current location. I'll say, okay, you're in Cell 24, and says this is a filthy jail cell. There's a door to the east, which leads to a hallway. Okay, so that's the description that we had before. And I can look at objects. And if I don't want to type look, I can just type X for examine. Or L, does L work? L is for look. There we go. And if you want to look at something, you could type look at. Let's look at me. You're a wonderful person. You shouldn't care what you look like. Now, we could have also typed X me, examine me, right? So X is short for examine. We could type anything we want, right? And the worst thing that happens is that the program just does not understand it, and that's fine. You can type all sorts of ridiculous stuff. Talk to self. Talking to yourself is a sign of impending mental collapse. Kill self. There you go. If you're experiencing suicidal thoughts, you should seek psychiatric help, right? So part of the fun thing of these games is just typing in strange commands and seeing if the game actually understands them. And let's go back to our room description. So what other commands do we have? We have I for inventory. That'll show you what you're carrying. And you can move around north, south, east, west. So north, right? But we can't go that way. Well, what else did we have in this room? We have a poster that's taped to the west wall. Okay, so let's examine the poster. This is an old travel poster showing a tropical island with a white sandy beach. It appears to rustle as though there's air moving behind it. Aha. All right, so that may suggest what we might want to do. So sometimes people will type, they'll say, rip the poster. Okay, rip poster off wall, right? And the thing is not really going to understand that. So you have to kind of take that complicated thought and kind of distill it down or simplify it into something that the game will probably understand. So let's try take poster instead. Taken. Taking the poster reveals an escape tunnel leading west. So let's type look again and see what's going on here. So now our description of cell 24 is, this is a filthy jail cell. There's a door to the east which leads to a hallway. In the west wall is an escape tunnel leading west. All right. So now I have a direction I can go. Right. Before I couldn't go in any directions, but now I can go west into the escape tunnel. So notice now I'm not in cell 24 anymore. I'm somewhere else. I'm in the escape tunnel. And it says you are in a narrow escape tunnel, which was apparently carved out over many years using a plastic spork. It leads up into an air shaft and east into cell 24. So let me try to go back east, and you can see now I'm back in cell 24, and I can go west, and I'm back in the escape tunnel. So it's not like a choose your own adventure where there's kind of one path, and once you go upstairs to the attic, you can't go back. Like you can only go in the directions the book tells you to do that are available. And this you can navigate freely. So our escape tunnel tells us that we can go up into an air shaft or south into, or east into cell 24. So let's go up because that's the only other way we can go. So we are now in a location called air shaft. You are in an aluminum north-south running air shaft. To the south, you can hear the swooshing sound of fan blades forcing air through the prison ventilation system. The shaft leads down into the escape tunnel. So the room description tells us that we can go north or south, or we can go back down into the tunnel. And it says that we hear fan blades to the south. So now if you're thinking about, I can't remember how to get back to cell 24, that's when you open up, or you take a piece of paper and a pencil and you start writing down the rooms and what you found there and how they're all connected, or you open up some software like I've got in the background here called Trisboard, where you can map all of that stuff out. So part of these games is the exploration. These games are very, very, much loved by people who enjoy mapping and exploration. So I always ask people, should we go south? And some people are like, I don't know if that sounds like a good idea. Then somebody's like, do it. So let's do it. Let's go south. And we're in a location called fan blades. As the giant fan blades chop you into little bits, your last move seems in retrospect to have been a bad idea. You have died. Let's try this again. So instant death, right? We went into, the game told us going south is probably a bad idea. We went south and the game killed us. And then it put us back in cell 24 to start over again. So do I still have my poster? Yes. So if I type I for inventory, you can see we're still carrying the poster. So let's go back west up, and now we're in the air shaft. Now we know not to go south, right? Because south will kill us. Let's go north. Now we're in a location called junction. You're in a T-shaped junction in the ventilation shaft. The air ducts lead east, west, and south, right? So if I go south, I just end up back where I was. If I go west, air shaft. This is a dead end, and an air shaft to the east is a junction, right? So there's just it's a dead end here. There's nothing here. Let me go back. So part of the big part of this game is mapping out the game space and cataloging what you find, and then figuring out how you're going to use that. So now we're in a location called East Shaft. You are at the eastern end of an air shaft. You can go west or drop down into what appears to be the guard's break room. Below, you can hear faint snoring. Interesting. What if I type listen? You hear snoring. Okay, interesting. All right, so there's a guard down there, but he's probably asleep. Can we try to look down? I don't know. I don't know the word look down. But I mean, look works, but it doesn't tell us very much. So we're just going to have to risk it. Let's go down. So now I'm in a location called break room. This is the guard's break room. There's a hallway to the east. To the west is a storage closet. Above you, a missing panel leads to an air shaft. A guard who's supposed to be on duty is sleeping in a chair. Let me try to go back up into the air shaft, and you'll see that I can't, right? So it's like it's a one-way connection. Just because I went down doesn't mean I can go back up. And let's try to examine the guard. Let's look at the guard. So one of the things that you do in this game is examine everything, because that will tell you or give you clues as to what you might do with that object or how you might manipulate that object. The prison guard wears a blue uniform dress shirt with black pants. Okay, so he's just kind of there sleeping in a chair. And somebody always says, shank the guard, kill the guard, strangle the guard. Let me try shank the guard. I don't know. Okay, kill the guard. That's so mean. Maybe you should be in jail after all, right? So violence is not the solution to the guard. Although it's not really clear why we need to get past the guard anyway. But let's look around again. To the west is a storage closet. Above you, a missing panel. Okay, so we can go east or west. Let's go west. door is closed. Open the door. The door is locked. Okay, so unlock the door. You don't have the key. Okay, I don't have the key. So that's probably the most likely thing is that the guard has the key. Okay, so now, oops, but I went east here by mistake, which not such a bad deal. Now, I didn't actually mean to go in this room, but that's okay. Let's take a look at what's here. So there's the break room, and I went east into the hallway, and it says that there's a police dog here. So if I try to go south, the dog snarls and tries to shred my socks, and I back off. So I can't go anywhere out of here except west. So what's happened is I've hit a dead end. I can't move forward in the game until I figure out how to get past the dog or possibly get into the closet. So let's think about things we could try. Now we suspect that the guard has got the key. So what might I do to get the key from the guard? We already tried to kill the guard, and the game won't let us do that. So searching the guard might be an option. And or what else could I do? So I yelled. I tried to wake up the guard, and seeing that that I was out of my cell, the guard flees in terror. As he flees, a key falls out of his pocket. Now it turns out search the guard would have worked also. So there's two ways to get the key from the guard. You can wake the guard up, and then he'll be terrified that you're out of your cell, and he'll run away dropping the key, or you can just search the guard and he'll stay asleep, but then he won't have the key anymore. So let's type I for inventory here. And the key falls out of his pocket. Okay, so I don't have the key. All right, but the key, if I look, you can see there's a key here. So let me say take key, taken. Okay, so now I'm carrying a travel poster and a key, and now I can unlock the door. There you go. And I'd say if you're designing your game, don't put more than one door adjacent to a room, because then unlock the wooden door, unlock the metal door. It gets annoying. All right, so we managed to unlock and open the door. So now let's go west into the storage closet. Oh, and there's a box of sausages. Now I hope everybody knows what sausages are. They're these little hot dog things that dogs love. And they used to have very funny commercials, and even a screensaver. I had the sausages screensaver on my computer. At random intervals, a little dog would pop up and say sausages. So let me examine the box, because in these games you examine everything. Dogs ask for them by name. I'm going to take the box. Eat sausages. Sausages. Okay, so let's go back to the break room. You notice the guard's not here anymore, and now we have some idea about what to do with the dog, right? So let's. So we've got a dog here. What if we feed the dog? What if I type feed dog? The dog gleefully devours the sausage and starts wagging his tail. Okay, so the dog is happy now. And am I still carrying the sausages? Yes. And I could have also said, like, give sausage to dog or feed sausage to dog. So the game would have understood several ways to express that idea of feeding the dog. And when you design these games, you want to make sure that that there are multiple ways. If there's multiple reasonable ways that an idea could be expressed, that the game will handle that. So otherwise, you're playing this thing. It's a game called Guess the Verb, where you have to figure out the exact sentence that the game designer wanted you to type. And that gets very frustrating, especially when other possibilities are equally, equally valid. They make just as much sense. So, and now notice that the dog is happy now. So if I try to go south, the dog will let me go south into the laundry room. There we go. Let me go back to the hallway. And you can see the police dog is still, it still says that he's eyeing me with hostility. But what if I pet the dog? The dog wags his tail, right? So if I had tried to pet the dog before, the dog would have snapped at my hand. That's so what we've got here is the dog exists in two states, like a hostile state and a friendly state, or a happy state and an angry state. And that's one thing the game is keeping track of, right? So when you write your game, you have to say, okay, what states do I have to keep track of? What do I, like the score is, something you have to keep track of. Your health might be something you have to keep track of. Maybe how much oxygen you have left, or how many arrows you have left. Those are, or is something, on or off, right? That is going to be stored in something called a variable. It's just a piece of information or a piece of memory that stores a value for you. So this game is storing the state of the dog. So now the dog is happy. And then someone always says, like, kick the dog, right? And it's like, this program does not tolerate cruelty to animals. So you want to build in funny stuff like that. Like, don't just build in the path from the start to the end. You want to handle all the fun stuff that people are going to try, because that really is what builds the bond between the game designer and the player, is that idea that the player tried something crazy, but the game handled it. And then you think, oh, okay, the game designer saw that coming, so we must think the same way. And it really kind of helps the player form kind of a bond for the game. So let's go. Oh, and then remember I said, in a text adventure game, you want to examine everything, because that gives you clues as to what you might want to do with it. So let's examine the dog. We never actually looked at the dog. And it says, upon closer examination, the vicious guard dog turns out to be a Chihuahua. And then I ask people, does anybody have a Chihuahua? And somebody always does. And I say, do you ever pick your dog up? And they're like, yeah. So taken. There we go. Now we're carrying the dog around. And that was actually a bug, but it was funny when I found it. And I just thought, oh, you know what? I'll work that into the game. So that was kind of a happy accident right there. And everybody seems to like the fact that you can pick up the dog. So now let's go back to the laundry room. And it says that to the south is a rolling steel door, but it's closed. And there's a laundry cart here, and the laundry cart contains a pile of laundry, and there's a schedule taped to the wall. So let's read the schedule. The schedule indicates a laundry rain will be arriving soon. What if I type examine schedule? Right, I get the same thing. So the game is it's built to handle a kind of a robust set of input. All right, so now people usually figure out, oh, okay, I need to hide in the laundry cart. If I try to wear the laundry, because there's a pile of laundry in a laundry cart. That's why. What if I try to wear the pile of laundry? Done. Really? I can wear the pile of laundry? Okay. Well, let me get in the cart. What if I drop the laundry? Drop the pile. Drop. Okay. Look. There's a pile of laundry here. Can I put the laundry in the cart? You don't have that. All right, take the pile. So now that's interesting. So that's actually a little bug in the game. So what we want to do is hide in the laundry cart. What if I put the dog in the cart? Whoops. Done. Okay, what if I get in the cart? Get in cart. And now what do I do? Hide, wait, right? What I'm trying to do is wait for the truck to come. So let me type wait. It says, after a short wait, you hear the steel door roll open. A laundry crew dumps the cart and you into a truck, and you manage to escape at the first red light and head for a nice Caribbean island. And now our location is Tropical Beach. Congratulations, you have reached the end of the game. By your feet, a former police dog is napping peacefully. So there, we've played through the entire game. And so notice that there were some puzzles, some barriers we had to get past, and there were multiple ways to get past those barriers. And then there was some kind of off the standard path through the game stuff, like trying to kill the guard or kick the dog or whatever stuff, eat the sausages. All those little funny things were built in there that kind of made the game feel a little like it had a little bit more depth. Now let's pop back over to, I'm going to pop over to Trizboard here. Trizboard is mapping software that I used to make this game. And here's actually the map for the game. So you might not realize that we had this many locations, but we started off in the cell and we had to get into the tunnel. And from there we went up into the air shaft where we could go south to the fan blades and die, or we could go north. And then we had to sort of navigate around. And then once we were inside the cart and we waited, we would get teleported to the beach. So that's how this is how the game is structured. And notice that the doors are objects, or doors are actually rooms. So when you are building your map, you want to make sure that if you want a door between two rooms, that door is actually modeled as a room. Normally, it's just assumed you can kind of go north, south, east, west, northeast, southwest, up, down, all that stuff. And you don't have to open a door every time you do it. Doors are kind of there to act as barriers to make you go find a key or kill a guard or, I don't know, pull the right rope or something like that. So doors are really there to be kind of barriers or puzzles, and they exist as they are rooms themselves. And what happens is when you try to go from one room to another room, the game will say, oh, wait, hang on, that thing is actually a door, so I've got to do all the door checks. And if the door checks pass, then it teleports you through to the room on the other side of the door. So that is how doors work. And there's a whole video on how to get that going. So this is what you want to make. An old school game like an Infocom text adventure game might have as many as 80 rooms, 40 objects, 40 ways to kill yourself. We're not trying to make something that big. We just want something maybe this size, maybe a little bit bigger, a couple of puzzles. But there's a whole video that explains how to make one of these maps. And there's one other thing that I'm going to mention here. If you're looking at the door and you're like, why does it have an LXD after it in brackets? The square brackets indicate the properties of that object. So the door has certain properties on it that are specified in the square brackets. And, oops, let me zoom in on that here. So the LXD means it's a locked, closed door. So when you import this into our text adventure development system, the object will be called door, but it will the flags for that object will indicate that it is a locked, closed door. Let's look at the poster here in the cell. You can see that the poster has square brackets P after it. That means that it's portable. And it doesn't matter what order you put those flags in. And that this is all explained in the video on how to make your map using Trizboard. So that's it. So and then I guess one other thing I wanted to mention. Let me reboot this, and let's run that game again. And before you make your map and start thinking about your game, was it Jailbreak? JLBRK.bin. This was just a demo game, right? It was not meant to be the full text adventure experience. It was an idea. It was a game designed to give you an idea of how to map these things out, how you interact with the game, what kind of puzzles and objects you would find in such a game. And one thing in here is the backstory. This demo game, or this little kind of exercise, clobbers you with the backstory and tells you exactly who you are, how you got there, and what you need to do. And I would say when you're designing your game, you probably don't want to clobber the player with the backstory. The best games are the ones where you have some vague idea who you are. You're ensign so and so from the Stellar Patrol, and you're answering a distress call or something. But you don't want to tell the player exactly what the backstory is and what they have to do right at the start of the game. The part of this, what makes these games fun, is the writing, and you want the story to be revealed to the player as they play through the game, and that makes the game more rewarding, and it rewards the player for pushing forward into the game and makes them want to push even farther into the game. So just like a good book, you don't tell the player everything that's up front. You have these reveals that are exposed to the player as the gameplay progresses. So just keep that in mind as you're thinking about the plot for the game that you're going to design. So there you go. That's a simple walkthrough of a text-based adventure game. In future activities, we will be reviewing some podcasts where you will learn about some of the larger, more famous of these. Eventually, you will be designing your own. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed playing Jailbreak.